So let's go here. Do we now, because we have all this like factual evidence from this brief, do we now put him in the category with R. Kelly?
No. And I'm going to tell you why. Hello, friends. We're back. We're Black and Curious. I'm Kandrin.
What up? What up? It is Deja. How y'all doing?
Hello, hello, hello. So we are back. If you've never been here before, welcome. We do a cross section of pop culture in real life. Today, we were late to the party, but we got here. We got here the fastest settlement in history, child. Diddy and Cassie. So if you've been under a rock for any length of time, Cassie filed a lawsuit alleging all of this horrific violence and abuse at the hands of Diddy. And, you know, it was just horrific. I don't advise reading any parts of it, but, you know, if you're curious, it's out there. And there's plenty of additional commentary out there about the case. So anyways, they settled really quickly. Really quickly. For an undisclosed amount. People were like, the names and the incidents that she was naming in that lawsuit were so specific, and they were together for 10 years. God only knows how many assistants were going to be deposed, how many executives down to the record label, et cetera, that were going to be deposed as a part of this case. And the powers that be, I don't know if Diddy had it liquid or who had to liquidate, but the powers that be said clean it up, and it got cleaned up.
Girl,
24 hours. I never seen anything like it in
my life. Never. And my thing is like, so back to what 90 days ago, or maybe more than that, maybe 6 months, when Aubrey came out and was talking about the releasing of the music and how he wanted all the artists who he's releasing the music to sign this NDA about not being able to basically go before a court and disparage him in any sort of way, be it in public or like in, you know, a court record. I think that he knew that this case was coming back then.
Yeah, I think so. And it seemed like it seemed like this was ongoing for a while, and she had tried to get a settlement out of him before, because there were rumors that there was like a somewhere between 10 and I've heard anywhere from 10 to 30 that she asked for, 30 million being she asked for, and he told her no. And so
she was like, all right.
It seemed like he was calling her bluff. Like, okay, if you're going to file, then file then. And I don't think that he banked on it being as specific and as detailed as it was.
I'm not saying it's like, nigga, why would you not? Just because she was, so there were in the 35-page, what is it called, Kendra? You're the lawyer.
Complaint.
Okay, I don't know why I wanted to call it a deposition, because I'm not a lawyer. Okay. Anyway, in the 35-page complaint, there was literal like breakdown of place and time and people who were present. And even though the girl was also, she stated in the documents that she was drugged a lot of the time, she still remembered a lot of this trauma. And of course. So my thing is like, why, like, how arrogant do you have to be to say, I'm not going to do anything for you?
Yeah. Wild behavior.
Like, and then the other thing that, so like, I don't know if this is like true or not, but the thing that I thought about too was back in the day when, because they make mention of like Cassie was dating someone when she was 19, and he basically wanted her, Puff wanted her at that time. And so he took her from that, or basically snatched her from that person. Yeah. But allegedly that person was Ryan Leslie.
Who was, well, I've heard a few little allegations around that too, because at that time she was still too young to be even messing with him.
Hello. Well, she was 19 in the document that we're talking about. But her dating Ryan Leslie, remember, like at that same time, because I'm a huge Ryan Leslie fan.
Same.
So at that time, I remember him, like I became introduced to him through his YouTube videos, because he could not put out any music because the powers that be were like how he did the thing with Kid Cudi's car and
Yeah.
that stuff. Like he was basically blocking him because I want to say that Ryan was signed under Bad Boy.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't allow him to put out any music. So the way that people became aware of him is through his like YouTube content and like basically him giving away free music.
Yeah. I also heard that the person that was hanging out of the window was Wale.
He gets caught up in the mess. Come on, DMV. I look crazy. This thing is sweating like a crackhead right now. Excuse me.
But what I wanted to raise, in addition to everything that we've already said, because it's been said and said again, we have a previous video about men wanting to be with impressionable women.
Period.
And I feel like this is a prime example of why. Now, is this an extreme? Of course, it's an extreme. This is crazy. Like the stuff that he was doing is wild.
Insane.
And the only reason why he got away with it is because he is a man with means, right? But
everybody was afraid of him.
Yeah, and also he was her boss as well. So he's also holding her music career hostage in the meantime. Whether she wanted to be there or not, it's like, well, I ain't gonna be able to do what I want to do. And he owned all her houses and all of the things. So, but my thing is, if I think they said he was around 37 at the time they got together.
Yes, when he was pursuing
her.
Even
if he had been with a 30-year-old woman, they would have been like, you want to do what? No, immediately no. And this is why we have a problem with the manosphere talking about women being impressionable, because this is the kind of shenanigans that go on when you are there's that big of an age gap and that big of a power dynamic. It's just like that's why you want to be with them. It's not because of anything that they bring to the table. It's because you get to download whatever it is that you want into this young girl, essentially. Because 19 is a baby. Like 19 is so young.
You don't know what the hell going on in the world. You think you do, but you have no clue. Hell, at 29, you think you know.
But at 29, you have enough sense and enough life experience to be like,
prayerfully you do. Hell, we got homegirl Sweet Tea on Married to Medicine.
We gonna get to her.
Okay, and this is what, how many years past 29, 32, 33?
Well, all I'm saying is at that age, you ought to have a little bit more life experience where you have dated, where you have been in relationships. And we're not going to sit here and pretend that this whole want them to be impressionable thing isn't just code for susceptible to violence and susceptible to foolery and control.
And like, not even, let's talk about, I brought up Aubrey O'Day, but also like back then, that's when we was all crazed for that damn Making the Band. And we saw then how much of a a-hole he was.
Absolutely. Like, it was for our entertainment, and we enjoyed it, and we laughed, and we cackled, and we had our. I mean, listen.
I tuned in every week.
I attended more than one Making the Band watch parties.
Hello.
Down to my manager's house. Shout out to Gigi. Eating snacks and with the crew. You know what I mean?
Cackling.
Okay. And cackling. But at the end of the day, we witnessed that behavior, and like we witnessed someone being an extreme dickhead. So
and my thing is like, how is it that there are people that are coming out like, oh, well, she should have said something then? Like, how, Sway? Because he's a very powerful person. We're watching him do this shit on live camera and television. They just interviewed Lorianne Gibson, who basically they're fine now, but like prior to them having their falling out, they had built a 10-year relationship and then had this whole knockdown, drag out battle in the media, and she disappeared for all intents and purposes. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like when you're dealing with someone with that amount of power that nobody is saying anything to, what was she supposed to do?
Yeah. And there have been long rumors. So like, that's the other thing. There's been rumors about him forever. So it's like all kinds of rumors, every rumor from here to whatever. So it's like, none of it was all that hard to believe. I mean, I think the extent was hard to believe. Like, my God, you were horrible to this woman. But as far as him being abusive and controlling and all the things, nobody finds that hard to believe. So again, that just goes back to wanting people who are impressionable, and we know what that's a code for. So stop saying it and stop living that way. Like, wouldn't you want someone who's bringing something to the table?
They don't.
Come on, they don't.
They don't.
Clearly not. Clearly not. So that was pretty much
at this point. I feel like because everybody's like, oh, well, she was just after the money, blah blah blah.
So what? She deserved it.
Period. I'm like, that was 10 years. That was a decade of that girl's life. All
Absolutely.
of her 20s, basically.
Absolutely. When you should be out having a good time and like living your life.
Trying to figure out who you are.
Trying to figure out who you are. And, you know.
My thing is like, I feel like, and this has been said as much, and I'll have like a little short going up around the time that this, goes live. But she basically opened the door, because now that there's all this speculation about this public persona, I would not be surprised if in the next, like 6 months, someone else's start coming forward with their stories about their experience, especially.
So that's the other thing. It's like she filed a lawsuit and they settled in 24 hours, but you can't unring the bell. And she has already made very public all of what was going on. And I'm like you, I wouldn't be surprised to see more people coming forward. Also, let me say a word about the royalties and him giving his artists their publishing back.
With no money attached to it at this point, because really you about to get $800, like Aubrey said.
Right. Like, also, like, so you want to give it to me after you've gotten all the usefulness out of it? Now, granted, the youth, they are sampling from our era, so maybe some of these songs will come back and get sampled, and some of these artists will catch a win. But, like, you've already used them to the high heavens. It's been 20, 30 years for some of this stuff. Like, really?
It's really crazy.
To me, that didn't even feel like a moment of like celebration. I know the girls were like, oh, he had a change of heart. I'm like, no, he didn't. He got all he could, and now he's trying to make himself look better or look like he's benevolent. And now we know why.
So that you can't say shit.
And now we know why.
Because when that came out, I'm almost certain that's when he got wind that this was coming.
100%.
So why else would you do it? And then to have on, because I'm not really on the Twitter streets like that. That's more Can's lane.
Yes.
But all the tweets that I've seen talked about on TikTok with D Woods and Dawn Richard, and I want to say, I don't think that Aubrey has said anything else, but like all of them are coming out and saying basically like, you're so brave, I support you. Like that also leads me to feel like, okay, well, what's T? Especially like with Dawn Richard, you were still working with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the rest of the people. And like, listen, it's their story to tell one way or the other. Or not tell. You know what I mean? And she's still working with him because she was on the Love album.
Yeah, because she's a part of Dirty Money, her and Kalina. Now, I don't know if Kalina came back. I feel like she just was like, fuck it.
Maybe. I don't know. I think she was on the Love album though.
I won't hold you. I was a Dirty Money fan. That album was good.
Listen, let me tell you something about the Dirty Money album. I will still put that up to this day.
Yeah.
It was a good bop.
But then it's like, damn, so let's go here. Do we now, because we have all this like factual evidence from this brief, do we now put him in the category with R. Kelly?
No. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm never getting over Robert Kelly because of one song and one song only. Seems Like You're Ready. That is a song about grooming. I am so sorry. That is a song about grooming. The cover of Aaliyah's Age Ain't Nothing But a Number with him lurking around the corner. Predatory.
The man was a lot, that's what the girl said.
Yes, I've heard that story too, and from somebody who lived in Chicago during that time. But
okay,
the man was a predator, and he was singing about predation. And so that is where I have to draw the line. And also, like, let's keep it a sec. And I'm not saying this is any reason that we should give anybody a pass. I don't give anybody a pass for this bad behavior. But at the same time, if we gonna cancel everybody, then we ain't gonna have nothing left.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, damn, like, why is it? And this is on a petty note, right? And I'm sure they're gonna fry me for this, but like, why is it that all of the peoples from our era are being disposed of? Like all these,
Because they were terrible.
but
They
wasn't
were
they terrible in the 80s and in the motherfucking 70s? Like, come on now.
Yeah, but those people are like,
they was giving girls quaaludes. Like,
getting exposed to those who are still alive because I mean,
I'm like, y'all
Bill
are ruining
Cosby,
my
for
music.
instance.
I feel like
like
I won't hold y'all. I have not listened to an R. Kelly album since they did the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. I've not. However, I'm not gonna lie to you. That TP3, TP2, whatever, all of the TPs, period.
I was never that big of a fan. I would step in the name of love. Aside from that, that was where I drew the line because I just thought his music was creepy for the allegations. And I always thought that. I always thought that the songs were creepy for the allegations that he was fighting. I was just like, this is messy and creepy.
I disagree with you.
And gross. And so that is why I have to say absolutely no to him. And the rest of the people, like, I kind of have to separate the art and the artist. But when the art is, it's really hard. But when the art is,
that's so much music, nigga. Like,
right,
from the 90s to the like, so we was graduating from college. Like, yes. Wow.
So I'm just saying, like, everybody is at liberty to do their own thing. I do separate a bit just because Robert was singing about the predatory things that he was doing. Yeah. So I have to put my foot down there. But also it wasn't no skin off my back to not listen to Robert because I was never a Robert fan.
I mean, to an old friend of ours.
Shout out to you.
She and I had a lot of history in like bumping them TP. I want to say it's TP2.com. I think that's what it's called. I have not listened to it in so long I can't remember it. But like I still have the CD, the physical CD. That's how old I am, y'all. Like it's just so many memories tied to that relationship that I no longer have with her, like as a my homegirl, but like also like just the music, and I'm just like,
yeah. So I mean, like I said, I don't. If somebody else decides to remove Diddy completely from their lives, everything he's ever produced, everything he's ever touched, everything he's ever rapped on, I am happy for you to do it. That is not where I'm probably going to fall out. I'm going to be honest. So that's where we are. So anyways, drop down in the comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know. Are you canceling Diddy, Puff, Love?
That's the question. Go ahead, friends.
What's that?
Do you think there's going to be a surviving R. Kelly? Because there are whisperings about it over on TikTok.
Oh, a surviving Diddy?
I mean, yes.
I think that they have enough material.
I feel like they have
just
more
in terms of
celebrity status.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the yeah, I think they have enough with the people that he dated and the I mean, they could probably loop in the violence and the degradation and all the things around his workers and assistants. And all of the people. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it's a little bit different than Robert just because of the certain types of allegations,
Yeah. But I also, before we wrap this up all together, I also want to hear from that girl that we really rocked with her. She had a podcast for a little while because she was like the VP or CEO of his staff. I can't remember her name. Like, she's also disappeared. She's also from New York. She moved to the West Coast and she had a podcast for a little bit.
Okay. I don't know who that is.
An attorney. You put me on to her. I cannot remember her name. Y'all drop down in the comments if you know who I'm talking about, because she used to work directly for him.
Oh, I think I do know who you're talking about, but I can't call her name. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, drop down in the comments. Let us know what you think. In the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace out, friends.
Bye.